On this episode of The Cut, we look at why Johnson & Johnson has paused vaccine distribution.
And we hear about Taylor Swift's latest re-recorded album release, Fearless. All this and more coming up on today's episode.
Good evening and welcome to The Cut. I'm Elizabeth Shively.
And I'm Caden Ryback. Thank you for joining us.
Leading off the show tonight, the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine has been paused due to recent medical concerns. We turn to Cut reporter Madison Page for the latest.
The CDC and the FDA are recommending that the United States puts a hold on the Johnson & Johnson vaccine due to recent concerns of blood clots. Here's what you need to know. The CDC is calling for a halt on the use of this vaccine after 6 women were diagnosed with blood clots after getting the J&J vaccine. Out of the 6 women, there was only 1 fatal incident and 1 person in critical condition. The agency wants to review these cases and try to figure out what caused these women to get blood clots before any more people receive the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. The FDA believes there isn't enough information yet to say specifically who could be affected by this vaccine, but the CDC is seeing trends in women between the ages of 18 through 50 who are getting blood clots within 1 to 2 weeks of them getting the vaccine. The CDC claims if you got the J&J shot over a month ago, you should be in the clear. People who got the vaccine within a couple of weeks ago should watch for symptoms such as headaches, shortness of breath, and abdominal pain. If you experience these symptoms, seek medical treatment. Overall, this problem is considered to be rare, and the plan is to seek out more information on the vaccine before continuing the rollout. For The Cut, I'm Madison Page.
Thanks, Madison. Turning to Minneapolis, a police officer shot and killed a black man after pulling the man over for a traffic violation. Sophie Offlet gives us the whole story. Sophie?
Police officer Kim Potter shot and killed a black man in Minneapolis after allegedly mistaking her handgun for her taser. Now the local community is saying that this was racially motivated as he was pulled over for a traffic violation that ended in violence. Dante Wright was 20 years old and had a 2-year-old son. He was pulled over at a traffic stop for having expired registration tags, and it was later discovered he had a warrant out for his arrest. Police say he resisted arrest, and that's when Kim Potter shouted taser and shot him in the side with her handgun. Minneapolis police chief said this, quote, was an accidental discharge. As of Tuesday morning, Kim Potter and the police chief filed for resignation, but the mayor said, quote, we're doing our internal process to make sure that we are being accountable to the steps that we need to take, and he has yet to accept the resignation. Protesters were quick to hit the streets and mourn for Wright and his family. Police deemed the protests an unlawful assembly as the city issued a 7 p.m. curfew. Officers showed up in riot gear with nightsticks and deployed tear gas, flash grenades, and foam rounds to clear the crowds. This comes almost 1 year after the death of George Floyd and just a few miles away from the Derek Chauvin trials. The attorney for the Wright family said, quote, driving while black continues to result in a death sentence. A 26-year-old veteran of the force knows the difference between a taser and a firearm. As of Wednesday morning, Kim Potter has been charged with second-degree manslaughter and could face up to 10 years in prison. For The Cut, I'm Sophie Opfeld.
In other news, Arizona education advocates are worried about a possible $1 million cut to education funding. My fellow anchor, Caden Ryback, catches us up on why this is a possibility.
A new bill in the Arizona State Legislature has education advocates worried, saying that it could cut millions of dollars of education funding from voter-approved tax hikes on high-income earners last year. Senate Bill 1783, if signed into law, would create an alternate tax category for wealthy business owners to file their earnings to avoid paying the taxes approved by voters through Prop 208. According to a report by the Joint Legislative Budget Committee, this alternate tax category would only apply to individuals making more than $284,000 a year and married couples making more than $568,000 a year. In total, the report claims that the bill would reduce annual Prop 208 revenues by up to $377 million. Prop 208 provides funding for Arizona's education system by directing funds to career training, teachers' pay, and other staff salaries. Senator J.D. Mansard, a Republican from Chandler who proposed Senate Bill 1783, told Capitol Media Services that the bill is intended to make sure small business owners aren't affected by the new surcharge. Protesters gathered to oppose the bill at the state capitol last Wednesday. In attendance was Raquel Mamani, a teacher and board member of Save Our Schools. In an interview with Cronkite News, Mamani said that lawmakers are ignoring the will of voters. "I learned that lawmakers in power here do not care about our children. They only care about pushing the agenda of special interests," Mamani said. Senate Bill 1783 was approved by the Senate last month and is currently awaiting a vote in the House. This is Caden Ryback reporting. For all the Swifties out there, Taylor Swift dropped her latest album a couple weeks ago, full of re-recorded and new songs. Cut reporter Alicia Sine gives us the story.
Taylor Swift released a new album titled Fearless, Taylor's Version, this Friday, April 9th. This album includes 20 re-recorded songs from Swift's 2008 album Fearless, as well as 6 From the Vault songs that were written and recorded in 2008 but didn't quite make it onto the original album. Taylor announced the Fearless, Taylor's Version release via social media on February 11th. It is the first of her old albums to be re-recorded and re-released, with the hopes to regain financial and artistic control of her music after a fallout with her former record label Big Machine Records. Big Machine Records sold Swift's music to a private label owned by Scooter Braun, manager of star Kanye West, a longtime enemy of Swift. In 2019, Braun then sold her albums to another company, Shamrock Holdings, for around $300 million, making Taylor Swift lose any control over her first 5 albums. Taylor Swift fans have a lot to look forward to, as Fearless, Taylor's Version, is the first of 5 expected re-recorded albums from Miss Swift. For The Cut, I'm Alicia Singh.
Well, it looks like that's it for this week's episode. You can catch us back here next week for our last show of the year, but for our latest coverage, you can visit the Cut Network on YouTube.
And for a behind-the-scenes look at our content, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at @the_cut_network and on Twitter at @the_cut_ASU.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you all next semester. Have a good night.